Welcome back to the Crypto's Key Conversation. We're going to quickly jump into CoinGecko here. We're currently sitting at a $1.93 trillion market cap, currently up almost 10%. And as you can see, we're seeing a lot more positivity and green throughout the market, a lot of double digiters as well. Looking at the top 10, we have Bitcoin sitting at 40,543, Ethereum sitting at 2,951, Tether is Tether, Binance Coin sitting at 394, Cardano sitting at $1.11, Solana sitting at 110. XRP sitting at 63 cents, DOT sitting at $20, and then Terra sitting at $51. A lot more positivity within the market today in regards of price action, which is huge. Coming over here to the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, we're still in that extreme fear range, sitting at 20. And as you know, we've been in this range for weeks on weeks on weeks now. We've been talking a lot about it within our past videos. I wanted to start this video off going over today's article where it says Ripple lawsuit might be exciting in the following months, and they're referencing Jeremy Hogan's tweet. But we're going to go through James K. Fallan's tweet first, where he's talking about in today's ruling, Judge Torres ordered 3 documents unsealed now: the notice of Brad Garlinghouse deposition in the SEC formal investigation, a Chris Larson email string, and then a Brad Garlinghouse email. And he referenced the links down here if you want to come click them and check them out for yourself. But we're going to go through Tag XRP's tweet thread here, kind of referencing some of the highlights when it comes to it. So this first one, he says, in the SEC's original complaint, they quote Joel Katz on a Bitcoin talk thread. How convenient for the SEC to leave out a prior comment made by Joel Katz in the same thread. And this is quote, we absolutely make no promises or representations about the value of XRP to the world in general. So I'm going to show you what he's talking about here. So he put this image up here. So if you read this, it says, this is from Joel Katz right here. So it says, as a corporation, we are legally obligated to maximize our shareholder value. With our current business model, that means acting to increase the value and liquidity of XRP. We believe this will happen if the Ripple network is widely adopted as a payment system. We are pursuing multiple avenues at once. One would expect increased demand to increase price. So with that, they kind of took it for what it was and threw it in here, and they referenced it here, but they left out this part of it, from the thread, and he had quoted it right here. It says, we absolutely make no promises or representations about the value of XRP to the world in general. So it's quite, obviously they're going to, try to fit certain logs and documents to fit their narrative as an SEC to, defend their case. But I'm glad that, XRP tag is kind of pointing that out. So continuing on here, he says, keep in mind, these comments were made during the days of OpenCoin when this tech was just started to evolve. They raised funds from VC Andreessen Horowitz, among others, so they had a legal obligation to maximize shareholder value of the corporation to their VC. So, and he put up, a screenshot here. And then he goes with his third post here, and he says, increasing the value of XRP. Increasing the value of XRP does not necessarily mean an increased price. It means XRP can solve real-world problems, and they made no promises of price targets to XRP holders. XRP holders are not shareholders. So yeah, let's go back to this real quick, and right here where he says, one would expect increased demand to increase price. So that's what they're talking about, increasing the value and liquidity of XRP utilizing their technology of Ripple, right? A widely adopted network and payment system. So once that happens, of course, with the increased demand, the price is going to increase. There was no promises. And just as he referenced, they literally said here, we absolutely make no promises or representations about the value of XRP to the world in general. So obviously the SEC is going to, like I said, fit whatever they want to, fit their narrative to prove their case. But we all know the writing's on the wall. We're on the side of the truth and the right side of history. So continuing on here, the article was referencing Jeremy Hogan's tweet here, and it says, there's only one major takeaway from this order on the Ripple versus SEC case. Judge Torres is getting ready to take over. The next couple of months will be very interesting, and with all the major rulings that are being teed up. So, and he puts out this little GIF here. So, I mean, it's going to be quite interesting to see kind of what happens, over the next, couple of weeks or months, with this SEC case, to see kind of where things going. And as we know, as community members, there's a lot of stuff that's been surfacing in regards of, just more shadiness that's been, shown from, consensus individuals, people involved in the Ethereum Free Pass, SEC shenanigans contradicting themselves, and, conflicts of interest and all that different stuff. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens. But we're going to continue on here. I wanted to touch on Jake Travinsky's tweet here. He says, when I was in private practice, I helped clients submit whistleblower complaints to federal agencies about serious violations that deserve attention. Unfortunately, these mostly go into a black hole. Agencies should focus more on whistleblowers and less on harassing good actors. Often, after massive frauds and scams are revealed, we learn that regulatory agencies were tipped off by whistleblowers far in advance and yet did nothing. This was the case for Enron, Madoff, Theranos, and many others. Yet still today, way too many complaints are going uninvestigated. And clearly, you have I forgot the other agency that was trying to get the Freedom of Information Act stuff. Pressuring the SEC to to provide certain documents, based on they're trying to mask it as privilege, and it's pretty much this entity is trying to say, hey, like, not everything is privileged. There's got to be some sort of fair, fair agreement or fair level of like, hey, we should be able to know, what's going on with certain documents, what happened behind these closed doors or these closed scenes, yada, yada, yada. And then you have like, Johnny Deaton in the class action lawsuit, constantly pressing that same narrative and agenda, trying to get, vital information that can help, XRP investors, while then in turn helping, Ripple and the rest of the community, the crypto community, when it comes to, the SEC overpowering, overstepping, and trying to overregulate and stronghold the market. So coming over here, it says whistleblowers take great personal risks to do the right thing and whistleblowers take great personal risks to do the right thing and report violations to the government. They risk retaliation and often have to spend out of pocket to hire lawyers to file complaints effectively. It's about time for agencies to take these whistleblowers more seriously. So absolutely. I mean, quite honestly, I believe they take great risks, especially when it comes to like these major corporations or these major, entities in general, or major players in the world, trying to go against that status quo and trying to stamp on their agenda or their narrative. That can be extremely scary. So when these people do surface, they do need to be taken seriously, and these so-called investigations need to happen. And in reference to us, when it comes to the SEC needs a personal investigation. And whenever it comes to Bill Hemmon and Ethereum Free Pass, and Joseph Lubin's involvement and Consensus involvement, and who are all the players that bought into the early days of Ethereum, trying to suppress their purchases, like. All this stuff needs to be investigated because it's all pertinent to what's going on in today's case, Ripple versus SEC. So coming over here, the digital asset investor had kind of put out a good tweet because the whole SEC thing is about, investor protection. We need to protect our investors. And he has said, how can the SEC protect investors by allowing them to invest in Bitcoin without knowing who created it? Think of the risk involved in not knowing. So his whole thing is he believes that it's either a government or governments, like someone knows, who created this whole thing. That's what he's saying. He don't believe that, it was Satoshi Nakamoto in his, as he says, his bathrobe in his basement, working on coding and stuff. He feels like, maybe it's, something bigger than that. So he's saying like, if you're so-called set out to protect investors, but you so-called don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, and he has a certain, wallet that has a massive amount of Bitcoin in it, why are you allowing those so-called investors you're set out to protect to invest in something like that? Like, it could be catastrophic if the so-called Satoshi Nakamoto was, a bad player and he wanted to dump on the market. Then there goes all the investors that you're set out to protect. They're screwed. So it was just kind of his take on, this whole SEC protect investor stuff. I thought it was quite interesting. I wanted to share it with you. And we're going to end on this. Digital asset investor had tweeted this about this Flashback Friday stuff, and is going over this little interview here. So we're going to take a listen in.
And the last key attribute of a healthy liquid market is really resilience. And that is getting at the ability for a market to recover from a significant systemic event. So if there was some sort of a market shock, the ability for order books to get back to normality and tighten back to similar prices to where they were prior to that event relatively quickly.
10 years out on the financial crisis, we still don't have the infrastructure perhaps to prevent the next one. And I think this is where digital assets can really help, because an efficient digital asset can really solve some of the key problems in global liquidity. The world's got trillions and trillions of dollars tied up in liquidity just to get around how clunky the movement of value is around the world. If with a really efficient digital asset, something like XRP, and that's what we believe will be the most efficient, you can now reduce trillions and trillions of capital from being tied up. So you can make those transfers instantly as a bank or as a payment provider or as an enterprise without having to have money pre-positioned all over the world.
And the
So I mean, just some more positives behind their agenda. Them trying to solve a real world problem, and it's bigger than than what a lot of us know in regards of just XRP's fast or Ripple is doing this or that. It's like this is about stability and trying to find a more efficient way, whether it's for the environment, from business to business, customer to customer, business to customer, just in every aspect. Like, how can we, and not even just talking about Ripple and XRP, just how can when I talk about we, meaning the crypto space, how can certain digital assets fight the good fight and try to solve a real world problem and make our lives better through innovation, more efficient, healthier. That's what, that's why we stand so hard behind, Ripple and XRP, because we see, based off of the niche that they're in when it comes to, remittances, payment system, cross-border transfer, and all that good stuff that they do. And obviously they have other, platforms that they're building with, the NFT stuff and everything else that's going on. But like, that's why we value it so much, because we see the impact that, what we deal with today in our financial institution and our finances when it comes to cash. And I gotta pay $30 to send my buddy across the sea some money, or even to take money from my account and send it somewhere else. It costs me a crap ton of money to do it, and it takes 7 to 8 days plus days. It's just like, we see the writing on the wall, we see where this thing is going, and it's extremely important that what Ripple, XRP, and any other asset that's in this specific niche, payments and financial structure and stuff like that, that brings, stability in anticipation of, some sort of crazy economic crash or black swan event, right? Like, what can truly bring stability and health to, our financial, institution and our system, our structuring, not just, in the United States, but around the world, across borders, That's why we see the writing on the wall. And for me and my wife, we truly have high conviction on this, and we're going to continue to accumulate and ride this wave up and down if that's what we got to do. We've been here since 2017, so it's nothing new. But with all that being said, I just kind of wanted to share my sentiment on kind of what's been posted here of late. So we'll catch you on the next one. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.